Hi, name's Matthew Jester. Making a quick video here. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just making a quick Facebook Live video. So, give me just a second. Hi, name's Matthew Jester. So my mother, today's my birthday, and I'm going to be skipping my introduction today, but my mother actually posted on my timeline for my birthday today on a different Facebook account. I don't think I actually have access to that account anymore, but I saw it in my news feed. Anyways, regardless, if my mother happens to watch this video, it's extremely important um, for her or anyone else to watch the video from the beginning to the very end in order to understand what's going on. I'm not able to ask anyone to speak to my mother for me, but she can watch the video and people can still send it to her because I have no liability to ensure she doesn't watch the video or to ensure no one shares the video with her. Um, Especially because my mother never requested a restraining order and because it would literally be the ethical and moral thing to do by sharing the video with her so that she can at least understand how I am forced to survive and endure relentless abuse and torture through hypnosis because I am unable to explain a very complicated situation to her and get the help of law enforcement to press charges for abusing me with hypnosis. And also, I wanted to point out I've noticed that I was getting very tense and shaky while I was trying to read. And that is also the hypnosis. It's not a side effect. That is like just abuse. Like I explained that in the video hypnosis, abuse, and speech inhibition. Actually, so regardless of such, I'll go ahead and get started. If I was able to tell my mother how much I'm being abused, she would probably call Logan Courthouse and tell the judge he is a sick, disgusting, appalling, deplorable person, forever putting a restraining order between me and my mother, and press charges against Logan Courthouse, and the judge forever putting a restraining order between me and my mother and pressing charges against me in the first place. So then also, let me see. I am also going to explain more about Bear River mental health. Um, and also how that pertains to my mother at the very end of the video. So please make sure to watch the video all the way through because I explain in even more detail extremely convicting evidence. So I need the restraining order removed between me and my mother because the restraining order was intended to prevent me from telling my mother about the hypnosis and how I've been getting abused. And how much I've been getting abused because they wouldn't have been able to get away with hypnotizing and abusing me. Sorry, the hypnosis is inhibiting my ability to speak. It's slowing down how fast I'm able to read too. Um, because they wouldn't have been able to get away with hypnotizing and abusing me if I was able to tell my mother about it because they needed to keep my mother from testifying at trial so that they could frame me. I was also told that Bear River Mental Health hired assistants to accompany my mother during the day because I have medical malpractice against Bear River Mental Health, and the assistants were intended to prevent me from breaking the restraining order because they framed me just to keep me from getting medical malpractice. They wanted to ruin my credibility and make me look like the criminal so that I couldn't press charges against them for abuse as well. Um, and let's see. So I was hypnotized 8 different times by 8 different people who collaborated together against me because of medical malpractice and politics. They impersonated the Make-A-Wish Foundation and told me that my friend Delaney wrote the Make-A-Wish Foundation for me because she felt bad for me since I was suffering from hyperventilation syndrome as a result of medical malpractice and abuse. I was told that Donald Trump, who was the president at the time in 2018, responded to the letter and wanted to make a movie for the Make-A-Wish Foundation about legalizing marijuana federally instead of making a YouTube channel about the media propaganda surrounding marijuana and exposing the war on drugs and politicians involved for being corrupt by literally abusing and criminalizing medical patients for using marijuana when marijuana has so many different medical uses. With the hyperventilation syndrome, it really emphasized the safety profile of marijuana in comparison to antidepressants because the side effects, including suicidal thoughts and ideation, caused me personally to develop PTSD and hyperventilation syndrome while I've never experienced a negative reaction to marijuana. The reason why I was hypnotized was to prevent me from making a YouTube channel long enough so that I could be framed for assault charges I never committed, so that I couldn't get medical malpractice and sue the doctors who abused me because then I would look like the criminal. So framed me and stopped me from making a YouTube channel. And then even further, saying the Make a Wish Foundation wanted to make a movie for me was difficult to believe, although they were able to instill the false belief anyways by bypassing my critical faculty and using a variety of other methods that reinforce the false belief. So the critical faculty is, I'm going to explain this in very well detail as well so that you understand, because um, I'm going to go ahead and compare it to like short-term memory, right? Because a short-term memory is a part of your conscious mind. And so short-term memory, the hypnosis is inhibiting me. Short-term memory, the hypnosis is inhibiting me. Short-term memory, um, is just a part of consciousness. It's not consciousness as a whole, as an entity, but it is a conscious mechanism, right? Factor. And the critical faculty is very similar to short-term memory. It's a conscious process, although the critical faculty is responsible for processing information and accepting or rejecting information um, uh, before entering their unconscious mind. Sorry about that. Questioning and analyzing information and and determining whether to accept or reject information or a suggestion before being accepted into the unconscious mind. And so this, as an example, is underdeveloped in children under the age of 7. The hypnosis is inhibiting me, by the way. Sorry about that. Underdeveloped in children underneath the age of 7. And so that's why, like, they believe in, say, for example, the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, etc. I apologize if you may be having difficulty focusing or paying attention. Please make sure to watch it till the end. Like I said, the hypnosis is inhibiting me, and that's not my fault. I'm just being abused. Critical fact. So so in the deep stage trance of somnambulism, that is what you'd see in like stage hypnosis shows. For example, the person's critical faculty is impaired more than that of a child's. The hypnosis is making it extremely difficult when I'm trying to rush and talk about this very quickly. So, anyways, moving on. Um, I was also told that so back to like the Make a Wish Foundation thing, right? Because that's what like made it. That's one of the things that made it believable, and they had to do a lot of different um, things to basically reinforce the belief and to instill the belief. But bypassing the critical faculty definitely played a major role in that. Now, I wanted to go ahead and finish this here. So I was told that Donald Trump was a multi-billionaire, so he was going to make any wish I wanted come true. And let me see. So the people who hypnotized me impersonated the Make-A-Wish Foundation, claiming they wanted to give me everything I wanted to compensate me for my medical conditions as an alternative to a medical malpractice lawsuit, but they hypnotized me to accommodate for everything Donald Trump wanted in regards to preventing me from interfering with political agendas. And so, sorry, the hypnosis is really inhibiting me a lot. I'm going to go ahead and just get this done now. So this is kind of something that I believe might have been an influencing factor with how they, with what's called a post-hypnotic suggestion, or is that's the technical terminology for a hypnotic command. Because I'll go ahead and explain it. They compare this to like The Simpsons, and I'll explain how they did in a moment. Basically, they had some examples like, we don't want anyone to hear about X, or we don't want the public or the press to know about X, right? And basically, as a metaphorical example to establish that, right? So, we in the situation would have been the people that hypnotized me, and like Donald Trump in this situation, right? And then, the metaphorical example was, comparing it to a Simpsons episode with Mr. Burns, the owner of the nuclear power plant, the one that's like relatively very evil and greedy. Even in the episode they depict a three-eyed fish because of the nuclear waste dumped into a local lake or pond, right? So, a metaphorical example would be, we don't want anyone to know about the three-eyed fish that mutated from our nuclear power plant dumping dumping nuclear waste into the local lake or pond. And sorry, the hypnosis was inhibiting me, causing me to stutter again. An example of this, metaphorically speaking, would be the owner of the nuclear power plant being like Donald Trump instead, right? Multi-billionaire as well. And let's see, the owner of the nuclear power plant covering up the existence of the three-eyed fish and preventing the three-eyed fish from getting any publicity or media attention. So metaphorically speaking, I was the fish, and the hyperventilation syndrome I had was the three-eye mutation, right? And that's what they were trying to cover up. Um, like they were very, very well trying to cover me up, keep people from knowing about me, to keep me from being on the news or getting medical malpractice. They didn't want anybody to know about it. I was hyperventilating for 3 hours at a time, 3 times a day, and literally would have broke the Guinness Book of World Records because I was abused by doctors and therapists, and they didn't want people to find out about that. So, also mentioned even antidepressants playing a role in that too, and other near-death experiences with blatant negligent medical care. So, um, I they also so basically what I meant as well would be like so in the that's how they described the situation to me, right? So then they didn't want me having hyperventilating in stores in public. They didn't want people calling ambulances on me, right? So these were things that they didn't want. And there are a lot of things that they wanted too, right? Like they wanted me to act okay. They wanted me to act happy. They wanted me to act like I wasn't being abused, right? So that's how they phrased the post. A lot of the post-hypnotic suggestions is basically what they would have wanted, and they made me believe that it was what I wanted, um, and that they were supposed to give me everything that I wanted because Donald Trump was a multi-billionaire and he was going to make any wish I wanted come true. But in all reality, it was them hypnotizing me to make Donald Trump's wishes come true. And I also have here, so, because I remember I was also talking about reducing fossil fuel consumption if necessary, and was threatened and told that the greedy and rich business owners and politicians didn't want to be limited and they wanted to keep doing what they were doing. And this was one of the reasons why they did this to me. And, also along the lines of, like a Billie Eilish actually being like a climate activist and everything along those lines, playing a larger role. So that's where all of this came from, including the Billie Eilish thing. That's one part of it, but they made me think that song, "Everything I Wanted" by Billie Eilish, was about the Make a Wish Foundation giving me everything I wanted, and I was even hypnotized to draw a star representing the Make a Wish Foundation, and then everything I wanted. I don't know how well you can see it, probably not very well at all, but you can kind of see it. It's in the middle. Anyway, so there's that, and then all right, so moving on from that, since it was a common occurrence for strangers to call ambulances for me when I would hold on a second. Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty relevant too. Great. So since it was a common occurrence for strangers to call ambulances for me when I would hyperventilate in public places, the ER staff would ask me what was wrong and like how they could help, and I'd tell them I have PTSD and I need Klonopin. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to say very much more than that because the hyperventilation syndrome would just make it really difficult to talk at all. Sometimes it was only all I could say. And when I was hypnotized, they told me that I'd get what I wanted, but not what I needed, and to say that I wanted Klonopin or Valium if I went to the emergency room because it was for the Make a Wish Foundation because it was supposed to make it seem less scary, and they told me it was in the contract with the Make-A-Wish Foundation that I wasn't supposed to talk about medical malpractice or let anyone find out I had medical malpractice, and that saying want instead of need was supposed to make it look like it was for a movie instead of actually needing the medications. So, and they also told me that, so if I said I needed or wanted Klonopin, and they really specified to me that, like, basically implying that, the doctors wouldn't give me those medications if I said that I needed it in the emergency room, but they would give it to me if I said that I wanted it. And if I told them, like, I want Klonopin, that was supposed to mean that I was making a movie, and that if I said that I wanted Valium, it was supposed to mean an emergency medical intermission for the movie, um, so that I could get actual medical care. And then I have evidence of this as well. And it's pretty confusing, just the situation in general, but let me see. I think I'm missing something as well. One of the pieces of paper that I was going to be reading off. Hold on just a second. What is this? There's that. They also told me, like, so that they were going to give me everything I wanted, not everything I needed, because it's the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And they would give cancer patients what they wanted, but not what they needed, like a cure for cancer, for example. I was right here. So they used hypnosis. I'll explain that. I'll start explaining that later. But basically, so the hypnosis was used actually to frame me. And let me see. Hold on just a second. There's a lot more that they hypnotized me to think Valium and Klonopin meant as well. I'll get into that, but hold on just a second. Okay, so I'm not going to get into detail on all of this right now. I'm just showing what it is in the video. Some of the stuff that it meant. There's a second page to it too, but regardless, so I was talking about being framed, and here I have some evidence. Let's see. I just want to point out, so a sentencing postponed for man claiming he was hypnotized, Cache Valley Daily, and of course I was framed. So the messages that I'm about to show you, these are Facebook and Instagram messages, are evidence that I was talking about the hypnosis being used to abuse me before I ever got charged in the first place. So I'm not just lying about being hypnotized to get out of jail or to get out of court, in other words. And they also claimed I was competent for court, although I have evidence in the messages that I actually believed I was making the movie before the date of the allegations. And I have ample evidence in other forms of hypnosis inhibiting my ability to speak and write and repressing my memory to inhibit my ability to consult with an attorney or defend myself in court. So that's the article that's about me, right? So there's evidence that I was talking about this before, the court date. This is not a case of me making it up and lying about it, because the allegations for the charges were back in August of 2020, and it says on August 7th, right there. So I have evidence here that I was talking about being hypnotized and everything along those lines back in May of 2020, several months before that. And then, let's see, so I'll go ahead and explain this as well. This one's just more detailed version of that. So they told me that they used hypnosis to control bodily functions to improve acting performance for the movie, such as suppressing cough reflex, mucus production, tear production, controlling salivation, etc. Because they hypnotized me to think the movie was being recorded live and that coughing could ruin a movie scene, for example, or suppressing my thirst and hunger while making movie scenes, because they didn't want me to interrupt my movie scenes by getting food or water. And I ended up developing loss of bladder function because of them repressing my thirst. Sorry about that. Hypnosis is really inhibiting me a lot. Let's see. So I was also told that all these celebrities were involved in this. These are Instagram messages. and in the movie production, and thought they might be able to help me, which is why I messaged them. So then you can also see that I say here. Sorry about that. What do I have to do to wake up? Referring to the hypnosis, right? Do I just go back to a Colorado emergency room and tell them I want Valium so I can get emergency medical care? Um, because I was under the impression that that would have you know um, allowed me like basically postponed or at least turned off the hypnosis, woken me up right from the hypnosis, because um, like if I was able to get the because the hypnosis was repressing a lot of these biological functions um, to improve acting performance, and for a medical emergency that I thought it would like be turned you know um, disabled, or I would wake up, right? And then so that was one celebrity that I messaged. G Easy, he's a rapper. This was an Instagram message. This was Billie Eilish. The same thing on the same date, May 1st, 2020. I messaged several of these celebrities the same day. This is Eminem's daughter, Haley Jade. Same message, same date. This is Will Smith. I also even messaged him about this, which I'll explain real quick. I remember my old therapist, Christine Price, told me that the Make a Wish Foundation was going to make a movie about my life, and that she was going to write a book about my life. The reason why I sent the link about Christine Price's books was because I didn't want to make a movie anymore, and I just wanted her to write a book about my life. And then another message to another celebrity named Joyner Lucas. Will Smith was an actor. This is a singer named Halsey. Same message. And same thing there about Christine Price's books. And then this is a message to Eminem. And this is actually supposed to say, at this rate, I would want nothing but to die. What do I have to do to wake up? Do I just go back to a Colorado emergency room and tell them I want Valium so I can get emergency medical care? And then, let's see. This is the person that first hypnotized me. So this was actually on the same date, May 1st, 2020. These were all May 1st, yep. You gave me hypnotherapy. How much money do I have to pay you to wake me up? I was delirious. I'm in desperate need of medical attention. Right. So there was some message right there. So there was some more evidence right there. This was on Facebook, and then this is the same person. Just different Facebook profile. Same date as the messages to the celebrities. How much money do I have to pay you to wake me up? This was a song that I was hypnotized to listen to, by the way, as well. Let's see. The same message here. It looks like the same Facebook account, just on a different part. These were songs that I was hypnotized to listen to that I sent to her. And some more. And then I mentioned the Make-A-Wish Foundation here. This was March 11th, 2020. And then Make-A-Wish Foundation reference number 2. Let's see. And then here is another reference. This is July 24th, 2020. Hypnosis is going to be the death of me. Of course, all of these are before the allegation date in August 7th. And then here's another one. April 16th, 2020. My old therapist, Christine Price, abused me. I feel extremely suicidal. I was trying to explain my flashbacks and symptoms and why I needed Klonopin, and she would just yell, you don't need Klonopin," at me at the top of her lungs. And this was something that she really actually did do to me too. Reference Christine Price abusing me, April 16th, 2020. You can see the date there. So, and then here's another message. Hypnosis is going to be the death of me. This is dated July 24th, 2020. These are all Facebook messages between just like friends of mine. And then here's another message. The date of that was July 24th, 2020. This one is June 8th, 2020. I feel like I got sexually abused from the hypnotherapy. I'm ashamed to be alive, and I feel really traumatized from it. I don't even know exactly how to talk about it right now. June 8th, 2020. And then again, this is a little bit of an indirect reference, but it's still about myself. Um, because, this was in the context of the situation here. Um, I tried to call Adult Protective Services and they gaslighted me. It sounds like you know the right steps of care that you deserve better than anybody, and everybody has not dealt with your needs appropriately. That never makes a patient happy. I'm deeply sorry. Well, I mean, when a therapist hypnotizes a patient to hurt themselves, it's something moreover along the lines of severe patient abuse and prison sentencing than a minor malpractice claim. Too deliberate and intentionally, so that's a typo. Intentional is what it's supposed to say. Causing the patient harm in a cruel and unusual form of punishment. This again was April 13th, 2020. Every single one of those messages was, including the Instagram messages as well, were all before the date of the allegations, which is right here. So, like I said, the Valium was supposed to mean an emergency medical intermission, and August 7th. So, that was August 7th, 2020. And, let's see, then that's not all either. I have much more as well. The hypnosis has really inhibited me a lot in general. Let's see, there's a few more things I need to explain. Let's see. I hope this video isn't going to be too long. But, it's nice to have evidence that I'm not just lying about being hypnotized like that. Because, in these messages, I'm also talking about it. And